If you're dealing with neck or shoulder pain when you play pickleball, here are some specific movements that you can add to your dynamic warm-up before you get out onto the courts. Now, a lot of times with neck and shoulder pain, it happens because maybe we've been sitting for a while, we haven't been really reaching overhead, so it takes a little bit longer for the joints in our neck and our shoulders to warm up to the motion we need available when we're playing pickleball. Most of our life is kind of down here. Only occasionally do we maybe reach up into our cabinets or above the higher shelves in our closets or anything like that. And then we play pickleball, which is like this really big movement activity. So we want to slowly get our shoulders and our neck joints to move into these bigger ranges of motion with more power, more velocity. So what I often will have people do is start kind of either shoulder height or lower, making fists so they feel contractions all the way down their arms and making tight circles. You want to squeeze your shoulder blades together in the back too, to help start anchoring the stability of where your arm attaches to the rest of your body. I'll do tight circles forward, tight circles backward, and then slowly start to make the circles bigger and exploring, okay, how much motion do I have available while I've got this full contraction from my shoulder blades down to my arms? And usually there will be a point where you'll notice maybe a catch, or it's tighter and more stiff getting into those motions. So spend a little bit more time exploring that. Maybe doing kind of angel wings or jumping jacks type zones to help that feel better. And once you've made your way kind of up higher, then I like to go in what I call a 5 angles, 5 times through, where we're bringing our arms in front of us. This is angle 1, and then widening our arms ever so slightly to angle 2. We're going about 45 degrees out, 3, a little bit wider, 4, and then 5 all the way out to the side. And this kind of explores your full range there. Notice how I was also looking up towards the sky. That also helps to warm up the neck muscles as I'm trying to get into those zones with my shoulders. Because if we're going up for a lob and we need to look up overhead, or we're watching a ball fly by and we have to move our head and move our body really quickly, then we need to be able to be ready for those positions. The next one I like to get into is getting your neck to warm up. So looking down, looking up, tilting your head sideways and sideways. Notice I'm not tilting and turning my head at the same time. It's just a straight tilt as well as a straight turn. So I'm not turning and tilting this way. That's going to aggravate your neck joints. Just a straight to either way. And then from there, I like to if I have maybe a little bit more pain in a certain direction, I will take my hand and push against the side of my head, and I'll kind of match the resistance. My head pushing into my hand pushing into my head. And if I tend to have pain going to the right, I'm going to slowly let my head win as my hand resists the motion, and then pushing with my hand to bring my head back to the middle, or even all the way over to the other side. And then same thing going the other way. I can have the left hand win as I push my head over this way, or even pushing back this way. And you can replicate this also with side bending to either side, or maybe going the other way, matching resistance between your head and your hand, or even tilting your head back, tilting your head forward as you're doing that. Very, very controlled. You're just matching the resistance of your own hand. And these can be ways to help wake up the muscles in your neck to stabilize in all of these directions as well. And then the last one I like to do is whenever we have movement with pickleball, right, we want to train our head to move separate from our trunk. I never want, just because I'm following the ball this way, for my body to follow, because then I could potentially fall. Or if my head turns faster and my body is expecting to go with it, but it doesn't, then I can tweak my neck this way. So what I'll do is I'll isolate my trunk from my head and have my trunk rotate, kind of imagining if my spine was a pole and my rib cage was like a carousel horse, and how those carousel horses can move independent, right? It's rotating around the pole as opposed to using my shoulders to move. I'm trying to get my rib cage to move, and I'm moving it separate from my head. So my head doesn't move while my trunk is moving. My hips also aren't moving either. But right now we're just focusing on the isolation of the head separate from the trunk. And that's kind of the flip side of when I'm turning my head and my trunk stays still. Now I'm turning my trunk and my head stays still. And that kind of warms up all these different movements that you need in order to protect your shoulders, protect your neck joints when you're playing pickleball. So give these movements, give these exercises a try. See if it makes a difference in decreasing your pain during or after the game, and maybe delaying any sort of stiffness or soreness after you've played. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or reach out, and we will see you on the courts.